Hello guys and welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Once again I'm Greg and I'm going to be giving you my predicted lineup for Everton's EFL second round cup game against Salford. This is obviously a very speculative one, as was first game of the season, but at least I sort of had that MO of Ancelotti's going to want his strongest team. It was just a consideration of will the new players be fit or match ready. What formations are he going to play? What shape will he play? And what players did he like during pre-season? So at least I sort of had that to go off, and it meant one player out, but it was a decent prediction. This one, much more up in the air. Obviously, we're not towards the strongest lineup so much. I know a lot of people want to see us have a go at the cups, me included, obviously, which would mean putting strong teams together and really competing in every game. But you've got to think about our game against West Brom at the weekend. We've had a shorter pre-season than usual. I imagine players are tired. We've had these new players come in who haven't trained with the squad as much as maybe we'd have liked them to at this point. So I don't think we're going to see the strongest lineup. I think we're going to see some fairly wholesale changes. And obviously we've got a few things to contend with, like the young players who are in and around the squad, Anthony Gordon, Branthwaite and Kunku. And then you've got players who still need to prove themselves. So maybe went through the first test maybe in pre-season, and Ancelotti's still making his mind up about them. People like Bernard, Iwobi, Walcott, who are going to be a bit more starved of game time this season and need an opportunity like this to really prove himself. That being said, I'm gonna press on with this on the assumption that this is going to be more of a process of pushing the young players forward and giving them a time to shine, as opposed to giving another chance to the players who might have played more last season and have been phased out a little bit more this season with the new signings coming in. So as I said, pretty wholesale changes, but more of a focus on promoting youth. And I'm going to stick with the same sort of shape as I predicted, not the shape. Well, no, okay. I'm going to go with the 4-3-3 that Ancelotti ended up with. I know a lot of people looked at it and thought it was more of a 4 and then a 4-2 with the sort of diamond, but it ended up James more on the right as opposed to through the middle. So that's what I'm going to assume. And in terms of personnel, I think we'll probably see Pickford in goal. Pretty high on confidence. He had a very good game against Tottenham. Looked very commanding. Came out to punch and parry a few balls away from crosses, and looked sharper than usual. A lot of the time he's caught in no man's land when a ball like that comes in. So I'd keep him in the team. Just keep his confidence. It's one way where we can have a player who's first team within that cup team in goal. Because as you're about to see, my backline's a little bit more experimental, so it'd be nice to have the first team keeper in goal behind the back line. And in terms of the back line, I'm going to sort of group the fullbacks, because where it would be nice to have a bit of an experienced player as a fullback, we've got two young fullbacks really pushing the first teamers, more so at right back than at left back, but two really exciting looking players. People have more mixed opinions on the right back, but in terms of on the left, and Kunku, who played a bit of pre-season and looked really impressive, really attacking minded, but also quite composed on the ball, very good at playing through the midfield and coming inside. And then of course you've got Jonjo Kenny on the right, who's very attacking minded and very talented when he gets forward, but maybe his positioning's lacking a little bit. But these are two players we want to see play, and we want to see given a chance before the season really kicks off, just in case they can prove themselves. I think Luca Dean's position's safe. What a fantastic left back we have. How blessed we are to, as sad as it was to see Baines go, to know that position's in safe hands for the next few years. But Kenny especially, I'd like to see given a chance to see what he can do. So Nkunku on the left and Jonjo Kenny out right. Then through the middle, I think we'll see at least one of the centre-backs retain their place. We're not too blessed in depth now that Holgate's injured. We haven't brought a lone player in like we thought we might have by now. So I think Michael Keane will probably keep his space. But next to him, we'll see one of the two two younger lads, and I imagine it'll be Branthwaite picking up where he left off last season in terms of getting a fair bit of game time with the first team. I want to see Gibson start to break in and get some game time, but I think Branthwaite probably gets the nod ahead of him here. Now I've got a real headache. As I said, this is really speculative stuff. Any position could be different here. I don't know what Ancelotti's priority is, whether he'll just field the strongest team possible, But all I can do is speculate, have a little discussion in each position, and I will reiterate, this is not the team I would pick. This isn't how I'd line up, but this is just what I can see making sense. So I think in terms of midfielders, we might see one of the players keep their position in terms of one of the new signings who came in and transformed that midfield, because without them, as we saw last season, we don't really have a functioning midfield. And I think possibly the most match fit or proven to be able to deal with the English calendar, I don't know how I'm sort of justifying it to myself, but I think Doucouré might keep his space and sit next to Tom Davies coming in. Obviously, he came off the bench, so Ancelotti must still have a bit of faith in him. I don't know if when Delph comes back and is fully fit, whether Delph goes above him in the pecking order. I certainly imagine Gbamin will, but we're still looking a little bit of time away from that. So I think Doucouré and Davies will be the two more defensively minded, and the next position, which is just in front of them, not so much a number 10, but the midfielder with a bit more creative freedom. I ummed and ahed about. I thought maybe Gylfi Sigurdsson. We've obviously got a few other players who can play inside or wide. Gordon, Iwobi, Bernard. And I feel with Sigurdsson, he's still gonna feature a bit more for the first team than we might have seen against Spurs. I think him and Gomez might change in and out a little bit. And I can see him not starting here with a focus of him getting a bit more league time. And I think we might see what we saw in pre-season against Preston and have Bernard inside in attacking through the centre. Because he looked really good against Preston in that position. It might be something Ancelotti saw and thought, maybe I'll press that a little bit further. Maybe I'll see if I can repurpose him and still get some value out of him as a rotation player who can come on at the left and through the middle. The fact he was on the bench, and a lot of players didn't make that bench against Spurs, shows that there's at least some faith in him, and he's in the plans a little bit. He's one of the wide players, or maybe inside and wide players that has a little bit more of a chance under Ancelotti to still get into the team. So I'm going to say Bernard central, and then out on the left, purely judging by my justification, I think more young players are going to get into this squad. I think Gordon starts out left. He's clearly trusted by Ancelotti. Ancelotti gave him a new contract. He got a lot more game time. Ancelotti always said very good things about him in the press. So I think Gordon will start out on the left, and that'll be nice to see him come back in and be getting a bit more game time this season. Because he was very bright at the end of last season. He was one of the very few things as an Everton fan you could take as a positive. Whilst the results were staying a bit dismal, at least Gordon looked exciting, had a bit of personality in that characterless team. On the other side, I think another player who still has a chance under Ancelotti, so will be given a chance to prove himself, will be Walcott. He was quite a good system player for Ancelotti towards the end. Whilst we're playing with wingers as opposed to midfielders like the 4-4-2, the Ferguson 4-4-2, I think Walcott's going to be a bit more effective. He is more of a winger than a midfielder, a wide midfielder. So I think that the formation will suit him better. We might see a better side of him in terms of his attacking play and what he can contribute going forward. So it'll be exciting to see him on the side again, playing as a proper winger. And then up top, obviously the one position left, I think we will see Moise Kean, which is always good. He ended last season, with quite a good performance against Bournemouth. He obviously scored, caused them a bit of havoc, was quite physical. Build on that as much as possible. Clearly he's in Ancelotti's plans. He's been linked away with the club a few times, Juventus on loan and things like that. And it seems Ancelotti's quite keen to keep him and have him in his plans. And as much game time as we can give him, as much confidence as we can build him, then he can start to work more effectively as a substitute. He'll be getting more than the sort of 5-10 minutes at the end of the game. He can be more of an impact, from 60, 50 minutes and bring something a little different and have a little bit more trust instilled in him to go and get a goal if we were struggling beforehand. So I think that's the team I'm going with. As I say, it's heavily speculative. I really don't know where to go, and I debated long and hard on every position. And this is just what I came to as a sort of amalgamation of what I think could work and what he might have in mind going into another game at the weekend in terms of the Premier League. So Pickford in goal, a backline of Nkunku, Branthwaite, Keane and Kenny. Doucouré, Davies and Bernard midfield, and Gordon out on the left, Walcott out on the right and Moise Kean through the middle. I think what we'll also see is some of those bench position occupied by the players that weren't even in the squad for Tottenham. Your Iwobis and your Balassis, your Besic is at a stretch, but I think it might be over for him. The dream might be over. And it does put a big question over Iwobi, especially if he's not chosen in this lineup. He wasn't cheap. He's a fairly new player, but he's struggling to find a place in the squad. He didn't impress too much in pre-season. So will he be given a chance here? I don't know. Will he get about equal game time as Walcott? Maybe they'll get 45 minutes each, something like that. I'm not sure, but I just see Walcott as a slightly better option in terms of the player he is at the moment. Obviously, that Bernard position through the centre could be Iwobi as well. He's particularly effective for me through the middle as opposed to out wide. So, you might see Iwobi there. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think he'll feature? Would you see other people in different positions? Do you think he should focus more on just putting the strongest team out and getting through and worry about fitness further down the line? Are there any young players you'd blood that maybe haven't thought about? Sims, could we play top and have him and Keane, or would you put one of these younger boys next to one of the more experienced strikers we have, and Sandro, maybe he gets into the team. But let me know what you guys think. How would you line up? What would your formation be? What's the focus on? Who have you got in the squad? Who's on your bench? And who do you want to see really crack on and prove themselves and get back into the first team? Let's hope it's all good. Riding high on the wave at the moment, and I'll see you guys next week.